How are you doing, Andy?
Very well, Nikhil. How are you?
Yeah, thank you for joining. I just wanted to start before we start. I'll just do a little bit of intro of my podcast. Yeah, so this will be just a little bit of a speech. Don't worry about it. So, welcome everyone, all the spiritual seekers, lovers of wisdom. Today, I am really excited, really excited to have a guest who has helped me in my life, and also you're going to hear about a lot of amazing things from this person. So I'm so excited to have this person with us today in my podcast, which is me, my self help, and I, where I am bringing back self help into mainstream, making sure people enjoy what they have already in their shelves and bring it out and play with it. So, our guest today started his quest for inner peace. The simple, very simple yet profound question at the age of 12, I think. He asked himself, how do I know that I am me? And this curiosity kind of led him to, you're right, rock concerts, to Buddhist centers, from fame induced emptiness to joyous fulfillment. When he's not teaching mindfulness, you'll find him contemplating the universe, making music, talking about chickens, heals hearts, or perhaps just having a piece of cake, a good cup of tea, or coffee sometimes. He's trained in more therapeutic practices and approaches and spiritual traditions than you can shake a drumstick at. And with a personal philosophy that makes like a lot of humor, wisdom, contemporary mindfulness, occasional tree climb. He is here to remind us all that we are enough just as we are, imperfections and all. So, without further mystification, let's welcome the man whose life is a symphony of self discovery, the maestro of mindful living, Andy. Andy, welcome to me, my self help, and I. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Nikhil. I love that introduction. Can I have a copy of it, please? Give my wife just a reminder of who I am. Thanks very much. I love you to be on your show, and I love your idea of self-help. That's brilliant. That sort of idea that everything's right there, and we don't have to go to a cave or climb a mountain to find who we are, I guess. Yeah.
So yeah, let's just getting the first question straight away out of the out of the box. Have you ever tried meditating to like heavy metal music? How did that look?
You didn't tell me any of the questions. Have I tried that? No, I haven't. But there is a place for heavy metal music, and I'll tell you this: when I used to work in schools, doing sort of well-being stuff with kids, and it's quite overwhelming the amount of need in schools and emotional stuff. And we used to have this circle. This amount of circles you sit in when you study therapy. If anyone's ever studied sort of a therapeutic thing, you end up sitting in circles all the time, sharing your worries and your fears, and which is lovely. But we had this team meeting every week with our schools team, mostly women, and then I was one of like a couple of males, and it was a lovely sort of get together. But as the sort of the years went on, I used to sort of not really want to do it and not want to talk about my day and my feelings and all the rest of it. I just want to get on with it because you had to obviously hear everyone. So my meditation for going to that meeting was listening to Nine Inch Nails on the train on the way to get out all my frustration and anger. And you could say, oh, that's not really very meditative. But I think the key to anything you do to help yourself is to meet your energy at whatever level it is. And if you're angry and you're furious and you try and listen to something calming, yeah, sure, that can help sometimes, but sometimes you need to meet yourself at the level first. Um, I say this often with parents as well. I'm not going to give parenting tips right now, but when kids are having tantrums, we're also often told to go and say calmly, okay, calm down, you can be all right, and be the calm force. But what you're actually doing to that kid is you're isolating them. You're leaving them on their own, going crazy, losing it. And you're like, they're up here and you're down there, sort of talking them down. They're like, oh, hang on a minute, why are you down there? You know, so if you meet their energy with, you know, not anger, but with enthusiasm and mimic how they are a little bit, that can help. So yeah, so I always believed in that. And 9 Inch Nails on the way to that meeting, just got it all out. And then I got to the meeting and I felt like, all right, everyone, I'm ready for all your stuff. Go for it.
Wow. So the energy you're saying, like, if it's better to match it or like resonate with it, is a better way to approach it, or is it like, does that mean that that's the only way to do it, or is there like other ways?
There's lots of other ways. I always think, you know, in terms of how, like, if you look at how we're built as human beings, and you know, when we get anxious, you know, a lot of it's to do with what's in our minds, fear, getting ready to run, and our bodies are going, right, so when are you going to run then? When are you going to run? When are you going to run? Are you going to run yet? You know, we can be sat at a desk or in a meeting and we're, you know, there's no release. So you don't have to listen to heavy metal music. You can use your energy to do what your body wants you to do, which is to run it off. And then there's a sort of completion of that that state. You're sort of, what you're doing is trying to balance. You know, I'm a big advocate for Taoism, and I've always followed sort of Tao Te Ching things just very loosely. I've always had the little tiny book, which I've got this copy, which is brand new. I got for myself. This is my giveaway copy I always have, and I've got a very tatty old wallet that's got notes in it and all sorts. But the idea that we're always looking to sort of balance things. So, you know, for instance, this morning I sort of woke up, I was a bit groggy, a bit tired. I was ill recently, got a bit of a cold, and I thought, what do I do to balance that? Do a podcast with Nikhil. That would do it. But no, I just thought, right, I'm going to listen to my body, plan out my day, listen to what energy I have, and then try and do little things that might like raise my energy a little bit and see what happens, and listen to the feedback. You know, like, what if I go for a little brisk walk or something? How do I respond to that? I feel more tired, or I feel, you know, less energized. Then that's my body telling me, why you need to rest. You know, just listening. It's really simple stuff. It's not a sort of a new thing, but you know, when it comes to meditation as well, I actually struggled for a lot of time to sit in meditation, especially when I was anxious, to actually sit, to actually, you know, you're nervous, your heart's beating fast sometimes, we've got a big thing in your stomach that's going, and then to suddenly sit in meditation and go, right, I'm really going to focus on it. It's like an explosion. So my practice was always to do some sort of movement. Again, like a lot of people like to do Qigong and movement, or walking, or just shake yourself off a little bit and meet that energy first, and then gradually, you know, you sit and you notice. And a Buddhist monk once told me on a retreat that sometimes he'll just get up in a meditation and walk around a bit. If he's feeling overwhelmed, to walk around, sit back down, check in. I'm going to get up again and sit, and he'll walk, and he'll make it part of his practice. But also, that means that you're integrating meditation into, like, just eyes open out in the world. So there's a really great practice, because you're not just saving the meditation sort of focus for like sitting. You're actually, you know, learning to be with distraction and also still remain there. So it's great. There's a lot of that for you.
You know, like, that makes a lot of sense. So like, you touched upon some of, actually one of the most important things is like the misconceptions in meditation. Do you have any, have you worked with any misconceptions in your own meditation? Like, this is how meditation should be, or mindfulness, or practices like what you practice is how it should be, or it shouldn't be. Like, do you have those? Do you work through those, or do you just let it be?
That's a good question. I think when I first started to meditate, I learned beginning through books, and then I found a Buddhist center, and this is sort of around 2003. And that was the only way. Most meditation groups were run by Buddhist centers, or they had that sort of element. It wasn't sort of, you could go along and you weren't sort of pushed to the religious stuff, but then the teachings were in there. And the Buddhist sort of group I was stuck with was very sort of quite regimented. You sit like this, upright, tilt your head slightly, close your eyes, don't move. They work with itches. If you itch, just leave it and work with that. It's very sort of remain still and trust that it'll work out and just work your mind. And I think that was a good thing to begin with, but it sort of drove me a bit mad as well. And I felt at that time, anyone that's done a sort of spiritual path we go through different phases of clinging to everything and thinking we've got to do it perfectly, and thinking that meditation will be the fix for everything, and that every problem, this is it. It's every problem has to be solved through a spiritual path, and this is all the things that happened to be in my project to work on. And if I can't get through it, it's because of my mind, and I need to work on that. Now I'm much more fluid, and I look at all the sort of in a holistic way, all the parts of our lives, and everything from what we eat, and like how much contact we've had with other people, and all sorts of things that sort of can change the sort of path of our day, the color of our day, and the tone, and all that sort of thing. And I think one of the biggest changes from all over the years is to relax my meditation practice, and to relax it all, and not strive for any sort of outcome. And I'll sit and meditate. Now I've got kids as well when I can, and I don't sort of put out my meditation bench and set it all up and go, right, now I'm ready. Sometimes I'm like, I've got to sit on the sofa, cross my legs, have my back on there, that'll do. 5-10 minutes sometimes, and then I sort of have to get on with my day. And I think, rigidity sort of ruins the whole purpose of it, and the personal part of it as well, which is another thing. There's loads of great teachers out there, and there's loads of there's lots of different religions, I think, feed into meditation now as well. People take little bits. I feel like we've come to this point where people take what they want from different cultures, religions, and things. There's obviously still people that follow particular religions and to the book, but I think for a lot of people, is choosing the elements that really speak to them, and then testing them out on themselves a little bit and making it personal, because someone else's path can't be your path, and they might teach something that they do that might not work for you, because we're all so different, and we all see life, and we're at different stages of everything. So I think the most important thing to take away is let go of being rigid and thinking of meditating or not meditating, or you're doing it wrong or right. The idea is just to sit with yourself, notice what's going on. This is all here. Noticing your reactions and responses to it. I'm a terrible person. Why am I always anxious? Why am I so tired today? All that stuff. Leave it be. Giving it a smile. Humor is another thing. Humor, very important. Give it a smile. Like, go with the energy of it. Don't need to fix it. Don't need to raise your level of energy through it. You don't have to surpass it. Suddenly comes to a state of absolute blissful calm, which sometimes happens naturally. Just got to show up for it. Show up for life, and be curious and see it as an adventure, not a thing to get over. And then the more you do that, the more that's reflected in your life, and you'll start to see everything as sort of with curiosity rather than fear. And then life will hit you hard sometimes, and your mind will get the better of you, and you'll get depressed, and you'll get anxious, and you'll feel awful. But there's always that little bit of spark in you when you have a sort of a practice or meditation or curiosity to what the purpose of life is, and what life's meaning is, and what why we're really here. And you see the bigger picture, and you step out and look back. There's always that, and you can go, it's like a superpower you can come back to, and it doesn't get you through everything, but it goes a long way to literally, which is what you talk about, the idea that it's all here right now. You can snap and go, oh, where's that terrible day gone? Huh? What was it here? What was that thought about whatever, my job, is that here now? It is here, but what's it doing? It's sort of empty of its power, I guess. So yeah, that's how I see meditation now, as a personal thing that should flow and be natural and feel good and challenge us a little bit.
No, true. I think I resonate a lot of things you said there. It is actually, the humor actually kind of works. Yeah, the rigidity, big thing. Again, I trained in 2 years of mindfulness meditation, and a lot of it was based around rigidity and being able to, I don't know, like it may serve a purpose, may not serve a purpose, but just meeting where we are, because sometimes pain and suffering and anger is too much for that moment. So you need to manage it. And a lot of people shy away from meditative practices because they think they cannot do it. And for them, what I would like to say, or what we are trying to say, is you can do it in however form you can. So like, if sitting is not accessible for you, standing is. If standing is not accessible, lying down. If you're moving, move. Qigong, Tai Chi, using the yoga flows. Like, there's so many ways. So my main aim in life, which is making these practices available and accessible for all, is kind of my purpose, I think. So yeah, so you saying that, it's like, is very reassuring. So yeah, thanks. Let me just now take you back 10 years or 15 or 20 years ago. And when what was going through your mind when you were signing the biggest record deals and like selling stadiums? What was in your head? Were you thinking you will be sitting here chatting with me 20 years down the line?
Oh, you've opened a can of worms. Yeah, well, when I was desperate to succeed in the music industry, however that looked, and so from age sort of 11, I started playing drums. I was sending cassette tapes to record labels when I was sort of 16, 17 for a band I played in. I was very serious about it, and then I got caught up in going to university. I didn't do very well at school, by the way. I got to one university that's the only one they let me into, and I tried my best with it, but I finished it, and it was a music degree, and it was music and media, which is bizarre sort of combination. And I didn't really learn anything about music. It was a sort of community thing, which was lovely, but it didn't really teach me much. And I had this, I just thought that I don't want to die not being the best drummer, because my main instrument was drums, the best drummer I could be. And so I went to London and I got a big loan out. And I did a year in drum school for drummers, and we just all played drums all day. Anyway, so I did that, finished the course, try to keep this a short answer. I can feel it's going to go on a bit. And I hung around London and I tried to get jobs on cruise ships and all sorts. I got a job, lots of different jobs, reading meters for Thames Water. Got a job in Slough, because I went to the recruitment agency, and I said, I want to work in the music industry. They were like, we've got just the thing for you, 21-year-old Andy. It's a CD refurbishment factory. And I was like, bring it on. This is my way in. So I went to this great big refurbishment factory in Slough. I got a train out of London there every morning, and I basically sort of recorded like all the returns, and then I went up in the world a bit, and I started to work on forklift truck contract management, which is fantastic as well. And then they moved me on to the adhesive quality of the labels that they put on, so explicit lyrics and things like that. They let me do that for a bit, but unfortunately I didn't last very long in that job, and I moved on. Anyway, I was trying to get in a band at the time and trying to get different bits of work. And I heard a band on MySpace, which was a popular website at the time. I really they caught my ear, and I thought this sounds different. It sounds really good. And they're based in Northampton, so I thought, let's give it a chance. So I went there, did an audition, and I did another audition, and I did another audition. Eventually, they said, "Yeah, you can be in a band," and I just quit my job and I moved to Northampton, slept on one of the terrace floors for a bit. And then during that time, they got a lot of the label interest, and I just thought, yeah, this isn't, they all say this, but I thought the music was really good anyway. And then suddenly a whirlwind of big labels like Parlophone and Virgin and they started to sort of ask us to do showcases. So we started doing showcases. Then before you know it, we had a manager, and then we were signing a record deal, and then suddenly explosion of joy, really. Like that was for probably about a good few months. It was a sort of complete excitement and disbelief. Like it was like a weird dream, because we go off to it was bizarre as well. You go off to see lawyers and accountants, and you feel very important suddenly, and and then we had sort of a good 3 years of doing tours and things. I've told the story a million times, but I think our third tour was with the Killers. On the day they released Mr. Brightside, which was their biggest single, I think, probably still to date. Anyway, so after about a year, the sheen wore off quite considerably, and I don't think anyone was really that happy being in a band anymore. And even though we were going on big tours and playing great places, there was something missing. And every time we had a break, I'd sort of go off and just try and find some books. And me and the bass player are quite into philosophy, and we sort of really into sort of discussing things like that. And we used to watch Blue Planet by David Attenborough after every gig, and just sort of like
fantastic show that is.
Oh yeah, just talk about the world, and other members of the band go out and go to bars and stuff. I was really interested, and I found a Buddhist centre in Northampton that did sort of evening classes, and so I went to those. Really got into it. They had a program you could study, so I'd signed up for the program, and they'd send me cassette tapes on the tour bus. They sent me like a whole bag of them when I listened to them. And it was like amazing. It was like a secret world. I was like, I've got this world here, then this other reality of questioning the meaning of everything. And I loved the fact that every show or every amazing thing that happened had another dimension to it. Was it sort of lacked inherent existence in a way. I just felt I tapped into something amazing. And then eventually sort of the band dissolved. I carried on with the meditation, but then the powers of meditation were not strong enough to help really. And I'd learned stuff, but I couldn't apply it really. I didn't it was all sort of heady, and it wasn't really about applying to life. So after the band, I moved back to London. I did lots of different jobs, didn't really get any sort of break, and I got very depressed. I suffered with depression. I didn't really know I had depression, but I had it for quite a few years, and eventually it really got the better of me. And then at that point, I sort of returned to meditation, but at this point, mindfulness has started to emerge, and the sort of John Kabat-Zinn version is very structured and a little bit more pliable to life, and more connected to, I think, people, and it felt more human orientated than some of the Buddhist teaching I had that you had to sort of translate. I felt more on my own with that. And so I did a course. I did an 8-week mindfulness-based stress reduction course. Let's come in a different angle. Let's come in on a structured way and look at cognition and how we work with emotions internally and in our body and whatnot. And it's just struck a chord with me. I just thought, this is amazing. And I'd always had it in back of my mind. I wanted to teach meditation. I remember just thinking, I'd love to teach meditation, but I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. Where do you start? And this certainly gave a structure and a way. And so I took the course. I did some studying. I studied at a university that this is amazing they did this. They do courses and retreats. I did that for a week, and it really embodied how you use your own process to teach. And I never looked back really. And I carried on with my day job, which, I mean, I won't go into all of it. It's such a long story. I'd done about 50 other jobs, and I'd studied psychotherapy, psychology, and other things during that time as well. So this is all lots of little different things I was doing. I didn't know where they'd go. And eventually that sort of mindfulness sort of business side took off, and I was able to leave my school job, which was an amazing job, but absolutely exhausting. And it's sort of a natural progression. So that's a very short version of a longer story. But I feel very lucky to have the sort of to have what you'd call the success so early on in your life of what a goal would look like, and then to realize it is quite empty, and then understand that the joy is found in following what your heart says. I mean, for example, the drums, I didn't really enjoy playing drums in the band. It was very it was a style of music I liked, but not really. And I found much more satisfaction in writing music myself and doing the meditation. I write meditation music, and
Yeah.
my creativity, although it hasn't got a stamp of a record label on it or international recognition, I feel it's far more meaning and connected to who I am, whatever that is, than being in a band and playing, 5/16. It's funny if you look at it. What I did, I went. That's what I did, and I got loads of record label, and loads of people going, "Oh, that's great."
I mean, that's the same. That's the same with like when they say about football players, they just kick a ball around and stuff, and then they get.
It's ridiculous. But what?
It's just, it's no, get it. No, I just.
It's I mean, obviously, it's the skill to like doing it, but essentially what I did, you're doing the same thing every day, and you're drilling it, and you're not expanding on anything. You're just sort of recalling the last night's thing. I used to think about what time for dinner when I was playing.
Wow.
I used to. I had go to all sorts of daydreams, like, oh, I wonder what time we'll finish. Where we going tomorrow? Everyone's full out. In the band and stuff, and I finished the gig, and then so it got to that point, and I'm sure lots of performers get into that state as well, depending on the band you're in. But empty.
Yeah, got it. Like, so that's. I mean, thank you for painting that picture, because a lot of people might be in that journey. Young people may be listening to that and hopefully inspired. Like they hopefully get inspiration from that, because that is a really eye-opening story on success and how we deal with it, how we can work with it and things like that. So that, thank you for sharing. And coming back to present, so who are you now? Like, what is Andy Hobson, or who is Andy Hobson?
I don't.
Are you the Rockstar still? Are you still meditation Rockstar, or like something like that?
I don't know. I think it's kind of ridiculous the way that we all get put in boxes, and that's always been the way in life. I think everyone wants to sort of go, you're this thing and you're that thing, and you're successful and you're a rock star and you're a pop star and you work in a shop, and I think that the only person who can know who you are is you. But you have to be aware of, to know who you are, you have to be aware of what you're projecting out and what feels real to you. In this chat we're having now, you're getting sort of Andy, I feel like engaged and excited and interested, and that feels very natural. But then we'll stop this chat, and I'll go off and I'll make a cup of tea. And then I'll sort of, you get more of a sense of yourself, and you sit there and you're like, you become aware of emotions a bit more. Sort of, you go off on your own and you become more aware of, a worry or a thought comes in or something like that. And then you feel kind of like leveled. I think when you feel leveled yourself, and I've been really successful at teaching through recording audio and writing music. But then I couldn't, for love nor money, ask anyone to come to a local group. When I was in London, I chose the wrong venue, but literally I could get, I got a handful of people, and it's very like leveling to go, yeah, like this is all sort of illusory, and it feels like if enough people say you're this, then you're this, and then the hype builds up someone, and I think people are drawn to me because I think I mean what I said. I like to try and be myself and not. And when I first started teaching, oh my goodness, I felt I had to be a bit holier than thou, and you can sort of hear it. It's maybe in some of my early recordings or things. I just felt I had to be very calm, and that's another persona you're trying to hold on to, the meditation teacher. Trying to be calm and level about things. But now I see it as you're sort of channeling stuff through your own experience, and because it's nothing more isolating than seeing a meditation that's got all their stuff together. And they haven't. There's not one human on this planet that's not going through something, and to talk as if you've sussed it all out and that you're this being and you're higher and blah blah blah. I don't buy it. But maybe for some, there's always, there are people out there who, you got gurus and things like that. But who am I is a really great question. And I think the most powerful answer is always, I don't know, to everything. And I've really found that absolutely liberating. Like when I write a course, when I'm being the grumpy dad in the morning, or being, complaining. I've been complaining a lot recently because I've been ill. I know that's what happens when I get ill. And when you know that you don't really know who you are, what you're supposed to be, you could be something, the meditation teacher, the musician, but you're doing it, as long as you're doing what you love for yourself and you feel like you're making a creative mark on, we're sort of drawn to do something that expresses us. And if this life is anything, it's like we've landed on this planet. There's no rule book. We don't know what we're doing. We know we shouldn't hurt things. We know we shouldn't. We should be kind. We know that we want to try and like help other life live, and that feels good. There's something in us, like chemically, oxytocin, serotonin. When we help other people, we get a rush of all that stuff. Beyond that, there's something in us that wants to create. So then, we do that without as little destruction as possible. And then there's a part of us who wants to connect, and there's a part of us who wants to heal, because we have landed on a planet that's far from perfect, and we've, human mind or whatever it is created things and trauma, from our own parents, from their parents. So if our job is to heal and try and improve and evolve, that can only be a good thing as well. And that does mean meditation, working with stuff, working with pain, working all the time through that, and knowing that there's a self in there. There's a deeper sense of presence that can hold a lot more than we think. And we need to remind that part of us through meditation, humor, through letting go, through surrender, through not knowing. And then once we were talking about earlier, being rigid, when you get rigid and start seeing yourself in a certain way, stuck or blocked, or then we put sort of walls around us. And when we start going, well, I'm this today, and I was like that yesterday, so what? Well, what's the possibility? What's the, and you're a great example of this, Nikhil, like all the things you've done, since we first met, and all the risks you've taken, and you've expanded and tried new things, and you've heard thoughts saying you can do this and you can't do this. Like we all have. I thought I could never teach. I'm not very good at talking in front of people. I stumble. I go all that, and you have to sort of test your limits and boundaries, and then it gives you feedback to work with. If you stay in a room and hide, there's no feedback to sort of grow from. You know, you need a few like brambles to go, that hurt, but this bit's all right, let's go that way. And then I can go around here, or it didn't hurt so much. So I think that's a great thing. But I will say that not everyone needs that journey. I know lots of people do meditations, just they sort of, they're not wired up to do it, or their life's sort of been good enough for them not to feel they need it. Like sometimes it takes a big tragedy to happen, or you get older often, and you become aware of your own death and your own life, and then you start to sort of look for deeper things. But a lot of people go through life not needing that, and that's not a good or a bad thing. It's just there are sort of, and there's more people who have more of a neutral experience. I'd say not that neutral, but there's always people that sort of, there's enough there, and often this material world offers them so much comfort that you don't feel. But then we'll all find something in the end that's awful, and we'll go, right, I've got a mansion, I've got, speedboat, whatever it is, and I feel like completely empty, right? And then hopefully they find the meaning through a spiritual path or meditation or whatever it is, climbing a mountain. But yeah.
That makes sense. I mean, there's, again, you touched on a lot of topics there.
Sorry.
But the only thing I'm taking away from all that is you don't know. And that's that's so refreshing to hear somebody who's in the space for a while. And by the way, for people who don't know, please check out Andy Hobson. You'll be surprised what you'll find. Only good things, by the way. He's one of the most, I wouldn't say famous, maybe not famous, most popular meditation teachers in the UK. Like, there's no doubt about this. So you should check him out, seriously. I mean, yeah, for me, when I asked about identity, a lot of people might not know this, is for me, you are my coach. And that's a different form of relationship. So we talked about you being a rock star, like meditation, spiritual leader, guru. I wouldn't say guru. I mean, like, you didn't say guru also. So spiritual leader, somebody who's expanding horizons of consciousness, let's say, expanding consciousness, a person who's expanding consciousness. And for me, you have been a coach as well, especially tough times. I think we met in 2020 when the pandemic was happening.
Yeah.
And I was going through a lot of changes in my life. And one thing which you made me feel or made me realize, and that's one of the strengths I saw in you as a coach or as a guide or as somebody who's helping, you made me believe that I'm enough. And that's one of the biggest things I've learned from you is I am enough. Doesn't have to. I am enough when I'm going through a breakup. I am enough when I'm going through a successful project. I'm enough when I'm playing cricket. I'm enough when I'm playing whatever, chess. I am enough. Like, you can still learn and move and change and do things, but starting from I am enough, it's been like, it's something which you kind of helped me realize. So that is one of the biggest things as a coach and as a person who's guiding other people. So like, my question to you is like, how important was who was your coaches, or what? This is going into the real question of like, what is the help? What is the self-help stuff you've done? So I consider you as my self-help. Like, I got the shelf. I went and searched for literally what I did to find you. Actually, no. How I found you is a good question. How I found you. It's 2018. I downloaded this app called Insight Timer, and then on it, there was a meditation on acceptance. I don't know whether you remember this. Like, this is your meditation. It's on acceptance. It was 29 minutes long.
I definitely go. Yeah. That's
accepting and letting go. That meditation I listened to on the way to work for about 8 months or something. And then every day. And then I was looking at your profile on Instagram, and you're wearing a jeans and like some sort of t-shirt, and like you're just sitting, and I think this is not a spiritual leave. This like it shouldn't be like why like who is this guy? And then I searched for who you were, and then I understood, and then that's when I was like, okay, this person is relatable. This is somebody who is not unapproachable, like a magnanimous, like nobody can touch this person, like nobody can get close to this guy. It felt very relatable. So I actually literally went to your website and just said like, do you want to chat about coaching? And that's how I like. It took 6 months of listening to that to realize, to get the courage to even like message. So that was my point. Is like it took a while for me to realize that we are all kind of similar, and also we need guidance. Some we might need guidance, and we are actually also understanding guidance can end. It doesn't have to be forever also, and this is another thing. So my question is like, what are the 3-4 things in your shelf that you, I know you talked about Tao Te Ching, but other things apart from that, what are the other shelf help you have used or you keep using?
Oh, it's a good one. The shelf help would be, firstly, just follow your intuition, your heart always. That is absolutely key, because you will find yourself in situations you don't feel like you fit in. Very much when I did my training, I went to a university, and out of 40 people, I was the only person that didn't have a therapy background or sort of like there was doctors there was qualified psychotherapists, like some of the people come from Australia with all the letters of their name, and I was sat there currently working in a bicycle shop building bikes, and we sort of went around the room painfully, and I sort of said what I did, and some people that had a problem with the fact that I was going to teach mindfulness, and I hadn't got the sort of I had some qualifications, but not sort of the level of everyone else, and I continued to pursue it, even though I felt that, who's going to want to listen to me above Dr. This, and so I think follow your heart and know that you might feel you're going to feel alone in this sometimes, because teaching meditation is if you want to teach it, you can feel like a sort of lone ranger in most of the world. Not everyone's talking about meditation and meaning of life stuff, and I think if you're drawn towards it, usually you're sort of wired up a certain way. Then not lots of people are. Not saying I'm special or anything, but not everyone wants to talk about that kind of thing. And so you have to be prepared to follow your heart, hold your intuition, and trust in what you do. That's one. There's one.
In what you do, yeah.
I have to say the other one is humor. Humor is very important. I always, it's got me out of more trouble than anything else. And I think, British people are great at humor anyway. We have to laugh at ourselves, and it's kept my feet on the ground. And if I can't laugh at myself, about things, because I think there's a certain acknowledgement of imperfection in that as well. And it's sort of a relief sometimes when you're not sure, if I do teaching or something, a live session or whatever it is, and in person, and I feel a moment of sort of imposter syndrome or not worthy or whatever it is, all you can do is name that feeling or name what it is and bring some humor to it and go, what are we all here for? It's zooming out of life a little bit, but using humor and seeing a bigger picture. So that's always something I find very important. Wow, what's my other shelf help? Well, music obviously has always been my shelf help as well. That's the thing I love about music the most is it's like it kind of meet you where you're at. So you play a song that meets your energy, it can change your energy. So if you play a song that's different to what you're feeling, it can move you towards that feeling and sort of remind you of things or whatever whatever you want. it
Why
can.
do you think? Why do you think music is like a lot of people like me 5, 10, maybe 20 years ago didn't like music. This is weird. I don't know why, but why is music so important? Like in humans, I'm always wondering. Like some people say they don't like music, but actually might be lying to themselves.
That's a really good question. It's a very deep question as well, because there are people who are more qualified to talk about this than I am. But in terms of like vibration and frequency, there's a guy called Sonic Yogi. I'll plug him on Insight Tower.
Mhm.
Very
Yeah.
stuff on how obviously we're all sort of part of a vibration and frequency. Atoms kind of vibrating together. Otherwise, we just fall apart into little pieces, unfortunately. And I think like music is, it's something trying for there. It's very it's a very sensory thing, and it connects directly to our emotions and our hearts. Not always in a way that's brings us to tears, but it's it's kind of its own side. It's not been sort of, doesn't need to be translated like words, like language. Of course, in songs where you sing, but you're listening. When you listen to words in a song, you're more listening to the tone or the sound of the voice rather than the words. Some people listen to all the words and things, but you're listening to that sort of. I think, just taps into a bit different part of our consciousness, and uh, it says a lot more than it communicates more for me, than interactions and things. It takes the veil off the sort of the the persona that we have. You look at all these bands and they talk in interviews off camera, very sort of matter of fact. People like Kate Bush, she didn't really like doing interviews because she said, "Well, my music says more than I could ever say, more eloquently, more beautifully. If you talk to me, I'm not that interesting, to be honest. So whatever she's channeling through that music is far deeper and far less conscious and thought about. I think there's an authenticity in that we connect with, and people don't really like music and they're not sort of enthusiastic, but everyone to a point will find some solace or something in sound, whether it's birds, that's music. In just sound, I'd say you can cut music out of it, but sound, if you're fortunate enough to be able to hear, of course, if you can't hear, then there's vibration, you can feel things, and that's again quite soothing. I think that's sort of what it is. I'm sure there's a more scientific, deeper sort of. But
I was just wondering, like in your personal insight, because you were in the music, as to speak, as they speak, like you were part of the music culture. Is that like the reason I'm asking is like a lot of musicians tend to find spirituality and vice versa or something like that. Like there's a lot of people who jump back and forth. So I was thinking, is that the key to, like, for people who don't know or don't want to get into meditation yet, or like it's feeling reluctant or don't know where to start, is music a good way as part of your course, which is doorways of being, which is
yeah, definitely. Listen to music or so listening to music is a very meditative thing to do. You can it's a way to quietly sort of connect with how you're feeling, and a way to sometimes process. Someone can say 100 things to you to make you feel better, but listening to a piece of music is connecting to you, obviously the present moment. You're there, you're listening, you're aware of emotions a lot more when you're listening to music. You're sort of more malleable, I guess. This isn't for everyone as well. It's just, some people sort of don't connect and will may up quite differently. And but I think there's something in what I used to do actually when I had to learn a song for a gig is listen to a song, and then as soon as I switched off, I started again. It's amazing how we don't listen to a song all the way through. Our mind starts. That's quite interesting. I get to the first chorus, and I'm already thinking about something else, right? Because you're no longer taking it in, so you can't learn the song anymore. So it's quite astounding how many times I had to go through the same bit over and over again until I could concentrate enough to get to the next part and the next part. So it's a good practice in concentration as well in this world where we're on our phones all the time. But if anyone's starting out meditation and they don't know where to begin, just sitting and listening to a piece of music by themselves quietly, close your eyes if you want to, is a nice way in. It's not asking anything of you, and it's allowing you to be yourself, and that's quite a healthy thing to do, and to process some things unconsciously.
No, all right. Yeah, there's so many questions I have. One thing I wanted to ask is, how has all the stuff you have done recently in terms of helping people and like bringing music, mindfulness, meditations, all of that, how has that transformed your relationships? Like, not with yourself, I mean, also yourself, but like with people around you. How has that transformed?
I know it's a strange one, because I get lots of people contact me and say, "Oh, you saved my life," or "You've done something," and it's really impactful. And you hear some absolutely heartbreaking stories of people's journeys, and we're in such a strange world, in that most of these people I never meet because it's online and it's a sort of that interaction. But I feel like it's another sort of wing of my life, to help people. I've always felt like I wanted to help someone. That was like my family. Like my mum was a social worker and a nurse, and I always had that sort of that. I don't know what it is. Just I knew that was, I could do that somehow, and so I was always drawn to that. But with the sort of my everyday life sort of thing, it's there and it's wonderful, but you're not always connected to it. You're not always connected to the fact you're helping people, because we're in this world where you're online and there's people listening to my voice all the time, which is a strange thought, and that's helping and it's wonderful. But I'm always trying to keep my feet on the ground, connected to what's happening today and what's important today and what these relationships mean, and I'm not really trying. Again, it's like, I don't know, not trying to be the like celebrating any success, or which is lovely. You've got to acknowledge things you've done, but it also kind of ruins the next moment by sort of trying to celebrate all the time and go, "Oh, it's all going so well." Once you start naming it, it sort of becomes a little less sort of like meaningful. And so, I just look at what can I do today, and at the moment I'm writing a new course, and I'm trying to make that important, but also it's coming from whatever things I'm working with at the moment, and so it's a sort of dual process, helping people, helping myself, self-paced, that's self-help, to make meaning. I've written a course I put everything into, and it was sort of a accumulation of all the teachings, everything I thought was the most important thing to remember, and now I'm trying to boil things down to get more direct, but also to fill in the gaps I think are missing in sort of the teaching world of meditation, and trying to make it more fun as well. I don't know if I've answered your question really, but yeah, it's changed my relationships, like not at all really, because I'm still just the same person. My wife doesn't say, "Oh, you wonderful, wonderful man." She honestly, she just,
after this podcast, she's gonna have a different take on.
She just, and then that's the way it should be. See, she sees all the day to day. She sees my, bad days, but she's seen everything. So she's in no means, this what I do is wonderful, but there's no sort of, because what she does is brilliant as well. Her work, and everyone's doing great stuff. Everyone's someone comes around to fix your tap or something like that. They're amazing for me. I'm like, I couldn't do that. And what you're doing is helping someone out, charging me money for it, but it's like making the world a little bit different for someone. And I don't think everyone realizes how their jobs, how if you have a skill or something you can offer, you think it sort of doesn't have meaning, we're bored of it or whatever it is. It can have a huge impact on someone that lacks that skill, lacks that way of seeing, and I think it's a shame that people don't really value what they offer in the world, even if it seems really simple and small, which I think is what I do is quite a small little, part. I mean, the wellbeing was so huge. There's all these people doing all sorts. I mean, I don't do enough, probably. There's people running retreats, and I'm not in that place to do those yet. And touring the world and traveling, and I'm not. That's not my aim at the moment. But yeah, again, feeling like that's enough. Not feeling like you need to suddenly become bigger than life, or yeah. It's always just going to the day to day. What's here today, and then building your little bridge to something new from there. Simple.
No, suddenly my camera flipped. I don't know what happened.
I thought you'd done some sort of magic. I was like,
I mean, that's part of the experience.
You've just flipped into an alternate dimension through this call.
This is it. This is what happens. Like you transform. You've transformed me into something else. And I know we have been talking for about a while now. I wanted to ask about doorways of being also, if that's one of the courses you have. And if you can like distill it into few nuggets of wisdom you have learned or shared, and encourage people to actually listen to this on Insight Timer. I completely recommend anyone who's listened to this to go check out Insight Timer, Andy Hobson, and bang, your life will be much. I'll choose the words right. Enlightened.
That's good. I'll take that. Yeah, doorways to being is a little journey you can go on. It's a course. It's 30 days long, and it's daily little reminders to connect with what's important in life, what really matters in life each day, and to kind of find peace in every moment of the day, and know that you don't need to get pulled off into the external world as much. Like this world we live in is full of distraction and chaos, and it's a course about knowing that there's quite a lot more to life than our materials and what the news is saying, what our lives feel like in that moment. There's a whole world of there's a whole different way of looking out at the world, still being yourself and enjoying life more, and just going a little bit lighter in this life and having meaning. That's a terrible plug. My mind just gone. I need some more coffee.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Like meaning, finding meaning. A lot of people are in this moment, struggling to find meaning, right? Because when you look outside or look anywhere in your social media, in your news channels, like it is all doom and gloom all the time. And yes, so like even having a meaning, you feel like, oh, what is this meaning? Nothing compared to what people are going through in different parts of the world. Like what is my purpose? Like is my struggles as valuable or invaluable? Is it valid? Because should I feel like this? And these are like the questions. I think from Doorways of Being, I think that is one of the things which I've taken away is like you find path or like a landmark signposts, as some would call it. Like these are like just reminders that you are valid or you are
That's
enough.
self-worth. Yeah, self-worth is very important. Self-esteem. Like you say, it's very easy to get caught up in the world and feel like your struggle isn't worthy. I think if you look after your own land, if we're all little farmers, we're looking after our own crops, trying to feed our close community, and then when there's surplus, if we all work together, then we hand it out further and further and further and further. You can do what you can. We're quite powerless with a lot of things happening in the world at the moment, but we have to remain. We want to be our own peacekeepers. I always say that, be your own peacekeeper and not absorb enough news that you know what's going on, so that if you need to donate to something, if you can donate, you can do that. If you can help, you can definitely help somewhere where you can. But in sort of raising your own consciousness and learning to bring peace and it sounds really cliche saying these things. Oh, it sounds so cliche. Does that really work? Does it really work to be peaceful in yourself and everyone else? But it does, and kindness and being caring in your community is where you should start, with your family, and doing the best you can with that, and knowing that you are worthy and you are just another little creature that's appeared on this earth. All these creatures, they all matter. Everyone matters. And why shouldn't you matter in what you're trying to do and what you're trying to achieve? And yeah, it's a tricky one. We're very exposed to everything, and it's quite overwhelming. But we have to be very. That's the only thing I say rigid about. We have to be strict and really hold on to that sort of rock of being in our localized sort of geographic place, and holding on to that rock and then working from there. You can't help anyone else if you're sort of getting caught up in it. If you're getting pulled in the river as well, you've jumped in with everyone else, then you can't save anyone. But if you hold onto a tree, it's my analogy, then you can maybe fish a few people out if you do your best. But it's hard. We're in a very, very sort of discordant times, and it can feel very contrived to be a spiritual teacher, with our smile and our lovely photos and beautiful courses that you can listen to. Someone's starting, go listen to my audio course, that will help you. It's it feels very icky and horrible, and you've got to name that as well, that it feels, go on my yoga wellbeing retreat and it's naturally grown produce, blah blah blah, and you'll get candle when you finish it, all that. It feels very sort of false, but then all these things are, I hope, working towards being better human beings and acknowledging what struggles exist. But yeah, it's a tough one at the moment, I think. Definitely.
Cool. Excellent. I think we've talked a lot. Do you have any questions for me?
Oh, well, my question for you, Nikhil, would be to ask you what is the one thing that you like to share from yourself with the world?
Woo. There's one thing I would like to share with the world. And I am showing up to the world. I am going to show up regardless of what anyone says, whatever the world says. I am going to show up day in, day out to help create a positive world, because more people talking about positivity and changing things is only going to be helpful. So this is my purpose. My purpose is actually helping. Sounds very cliche, but I'm going to own it from now on. My purpose is helping 1 million people help 1 million people. That's what I want to share with the world. I want to help 1 million people be able to help 1 million people. And that can only grow. So that is what I'd like to share. And and obviously, speaking to you, what I'd like to share is I am enough. I'm enough. The way I am, who I am, whatever I am, I'm enough, and I can do more.
I love that. Showing up is the greatest thing you can do, to show up for all of it. I love that. That's that covers, because you never know by showing up for yourself, what you might heal. Showing up in a physical place, going somewhere that feels uncomfortable. I just suddenly thought, not just bring it back to me, but I got on a teach kids meditation course thing over a weekend, and part of me was like, do I want to do this? Yeah, all right. And I showed up, I did the course, it was very PowerPoint heavy, it was all PowerPoint, and I lost my mind at the end. And we all pack it up, and everyone sort of like left, and I was a bit late to sort of packing up and going. And then one of the teachers was having a conversation with someone else, and they said, "Oh, by the way, good resource if you want to learn to meditate, it's Insight Timer." And I overheard that, and I was like, "Oh, Insight Timer sounds right. I need someone to put some meditations up," because I was doing courses, giving out CDs. I was like, "Oh, I can probably put the CDs I've got now, I can put them on that maybe. I wonder." So I emailed the guy who ran it, called Brad, and said, "Oh, can I put some things up?" He said, "Yeah, just send them." And it was very slow in those days. You sort of uploaded I put 2 tracks up, just so that I didn't have to give out CDs in my group courses anymore. I was like, I can just say that you can listen to it free here, then it's all good. And then, and then you send it, you email Brad, so I've just uploaded a meditation. 3 weeks later, a month later, it goes up. And then it started doing really well on that app. And then another thought was like, I want to put music underneath it, because a lot of it was quite cheesy. It's improved a lot now. Again, I was, what's the point? No one likes music and meditations. I thought I'd do it anyway. I wrote a track. Never done it before. Got a violin. Never played that before. Got a cheap violin. I think it was a mountain meditation, which is like the most popular one still. And it's like, played the most awful violin part you'll ever hear. Managed to smooth it out, tune it on my computer. And if anyone ever hears the mountain meditation original audio, which I have got, because I was just curious what it sounds like, they will never listen to that track ever again the same, because they will know exactly what I played, converses to what blissful, lovely sound I managed to get. And it's like, they give sort of mask of reality. But yeah, so showing up, I think, to show up, you never know. I think that's one thing. I've always shown up for stuff, even if I've had an aversion to it. I've got into, and some of it's been awkward, and as I've got older, I've said no more to things. But I think it's for nature of getting older. Sometimes you think you're wiser, but I think you should still show up. And you never know, all the pieces all stick together, all the weird things I've done. They've all provided either direct help for something I'm teaching, or like something practical, or like a talking point of or experience. And I think that's sort of the richness of and what we can teach, is that we've gone to those edges of life a little bit more, and we've tested out what happens if you do this or that. Anyway, I'll stop talking. Really good.
Yeah, makes it. I mean, it's like, I was listening, carry on. Like, this is fantastic what you're saying. So, like, it's saying, again, this is also maybe something within you, which is, what you're saying makes sense. It is like, I was engaged. So don't feel like you need to stop, unless you're tired, obviously.
I just stopped talking. But yeah, it's funny, like, coincidences happen when you show up. I mean, just right, even same with the band thing. I could have seen something on my space and gone, they're good. And I remember my housemates at the time were telling me to turn it down because they were trying to watch TV.
Oh.
I lived with all these 3 singers at the time, and they were all moaning, going, "Oh, can you turn it down now, please? We're trying to watch." I was like listening really quietly at very low volume through a computer speaker, because we have headphones or anything. I was like, Is it good? And you make that phone call. I know it's a horrible thing that celebrities talk about all the time. They got this break or whatever it is, and it's like, yeah, that's extreme. But you do get, like, by showing up, you do get more chances to try new things. Same with the kids company. There's a charity I work for. I volunteered for them, and I kept writing to them for about 2 years. It was very hard to get a sort of job or role there. I had no experience. I'd done a few courses of psychotherapy, and I happened to mention a couple of things about sort of working with some difficult staff in my bike shop, and they took a chance on me, gave me a job in a school. And I got an interview with Camilla Batman-Gellert. She was the CEO, lovely person. She's sadly passed away now. But yeah, it's another thing. You just show up, and then you never know. Same with a bike shop. Never built a bike in my life. Didn't know anything about bikes. I hope no one's riding one of the bikes I built. It's like, I'm just going to do it. I'll try it. Next thing you know, got the cover of London Cyclist magazine. That's ridiculous. I'm like sort of the Forrest Gump of something. I don't know. Someone else called me. What was it? What was that baseball series?
Moneyball. No.
No, it's a baseball like comedy series where the guy manages a baseball team, but he's not very good at it. Oh, I can't remember.
Actually, no. So like some Adam Sandler kind of.
It's sort of like that. Yeah, it's a US thing, and it's the guy in it. The main guy is. My mind's gone now. But anyway, it's not the most biggest compliment because he's not very good at managing the team. But someone called me the whatever his name is of meditation because I'm a little bit sideways on the old teaching. But
well, yeah, do not agree with whatever they say, but yeah.
Wonderful.
Excellent. So I think we have. No, it's been chatting for about hour and a bit. So yeah, I think we can call it a day. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing all the thoughts you had. It's been really wonderful chatting with you, obviously.
Thank you, Nikhil.
And, yeah. And if there is any thoughts or comments when this goes out in YouTube, so I'm looking at you YouTube people, or Instagram or any of the social people. Like if you have any questions, please do let me know. Check out Andy, please. I mean, like you should.
And check out Nikhil. He's daily on Insight Timer live sessions. Fantastic teacher. I highly recommend. He's got meditations out also on Insight Timer. And you've published a book as well, I believe, on mindfulness in the workplace. So if you need a mindfulness teacher in the business context, look no further. Highly recommend. Lovely man. Very authentic, I will say. Authenticity is the key. And funny. So that was a David Brentism then. And he's funny. But yeah.
Cool. Thank you. So this has been me, my Shelf-Help, and I will catch up with you all next episode, hopefully soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye.